don't even know if that shit was. Let me see. Okay. Real quick. Zero to a hundred nigga real quick. Zero to a hundred nigga real quick. Zero to a hundred nigga real quick. Y'all sleep, bro? Y'all sleep? Y'all sleep? This ain't public. Let me know. Let me know. There you go. I was like, is this thing on? Three people hopped in too, like all at one time. Y'all overloaded the motherfucking circuit. What up, E? Fresh out that clock. Budweiser in. It's bud time. It's bud time. What up, Classic? We got a link, bro. It is time. You know what I'm saying? It is time. Yeah, man, we're gonna get a couple people off in there. I'm gonna attempt to keep this kind of quick, right? That usually don't like them two words don't even usually go in the same sentence. But I'm gonna try. I promise. I can't be up all night fooling with y'all. You look fresh out the post office. uh, moving the packs, huh? Yeah. What up, DIY? What up, Tex boy? I ain't got the bell. No. I know you didn't. I'm just saying we need a link. We need the link so I can get that from you. And so hopefully we can collab and do a video at the same time. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So where we go? Lost a couple people who was coming. So we're gonna wait till like 4 minutes. We're gonna wait till like 4 minutes in. Class is in session. We're gonna talk about the very basic, not overwhelming one step at a time type shit, right? So uh this is for pretty much like the beginning stages. You know what I'm saying? You done took your motor, your old 307, 305 out the car, right? It's out, and now uh you probably clean it up, trying to make it look nice, etc., etc. Uh, and all that jazz. In the process of that, you also trying to figure out where like how does this wiring thing work? How does this wiring thing work? What that body look like face on love. Instead, I almost got in a fight in a junkyard. See, that's why you should have came to Belty. Up there finna tear the club up. Hang on the side and keep messing up. I apologize. Um, so I'm gonna give people get off in here. So yeah, this is basically your mother's out of your car. You know what I'm saying? Now you kind of trying to figure out exactly what it is going to be the next step for you, right? Now, to wire, everybody talks about 3 wire hookup, 4 wire hookup. You've seen it. I've done a video of it inside with the engine inside the car, being that I have a engine outside of the car and it is a different engine. You know what I'm saying? Different car, different platform, not a G or not a B body, not a Caprice. It's just regular ass G body. Originally had a 307. And so there's a couple more things that we changing on this one that we would with a regular. So just to point out a couple things that's going to be different from that, and then just identifying certain wires that you're gonna need and how you need to adapt. Also, just kind of sharing a little bit of the knowledge that I've kind of learned with going through the previous swaps, and certain things that you need to identify, etc., to move forward or whatever. So, without further ado, we ain't gonna hold this thing up. Let's see. Gotta unplug this because we live on the tablet. So let me flip y'all around. Oh shit. My finger was in front of the damn camera. I forgot. Alright, let me turn some more lights on. Hold on. See, that one helps. That one might be enough. We might not have to go full. Might not have to go full throttle. The only way we could probably really get the rest is to let that garage down. So for those of y'all that know 307 setup, what I didn't know was that the starter on that motor was installed on the driver's side, complete opposite of your box Chevy. You know what I'm saying? Or really any Chevy that you run into. So the wiring is going to look a little bit different, but it's going to be the same. And let me explain. So basically what we have here, the battery, a lot of times people move what side the battery is on to get, it pretty kind of close to what it was stock. You know what I'm saying, in the truck. And for y'all that know, the truck battery and the LS swaps is on this side. So that is already done for you on this setup. So from here, and the reason that this came about, a subscriber had hit me up on Instagram and he was asking me some questions about it. So I figured it'd be a good time to make a video about it. But instead of making an actual video about it, I just go live with it. So back into it. So basically, all you want to do is everything in this car, everything is controlled by pretty much power. The two bases for everything is this right here. You know what I'm saying? It's a power and a ground. You know what I mean? Positive and negative. You know what I'm saying? Everything is coming, all the power that runs through this car is coming through a battery. So no matter what it is that is used in this car, whether it's lights, switches, blinkers, whatever, everything is controlled by wiring. You know what I'm saying? Switches, relays. You know what I'm saying? It's being stopped and started and turned on and turned off in some type of way. You know what I mean? So that's basically just all you got to do when you think about electrical and wiring. You know what I'm saying? Uh, that's not the whole in a nutshell, but that's the general overview. So basically what you want to do, like I said, is you want to identify those wires that you're going to need to wire into your harness. Now, the 3 and 4 wire harnesses, for a lot of them, I'm saying, like I said, three wire setup, 4 wire setup, they're pretty much the same thing because some of them count the ground, some of them don't. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see here, there's a ground right there on the back wall. So I can use this ground bolted to my motor as one ground. You know what I'm saying? And that's one ground out of the way. And depending upon how your harness is wired, who did it, etc., they can wire all your grounds into one. And so that connection would go up here. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's a couple of them. But like I said, we're not getting deep off into the hookup and everything like that. What we basically trying to do is just to identify the wires that you're going to need. So basically for this, my fault. So basically this right here is positive this was the positive battery cable, right? When I took it off of the car, now these are not hooked up to anything right now. These is just dangling. You know what I'm saying? These is not anything special. All they do, this one bolts to the ground, to a ground on the car, somewhere wherever you want it to be. Just make sure it's a good clean ground. This one right here, as you can see, goes to the positive. And as you can see, there's this part that comes off here. I believe in this application, this went to the alternator. So this red cable here went to the back of the alternator and it charged the battery pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, this is like all the way broke down. So that's another reason why I thought that this was like the best way to be able to show y'all. I apologize for the shakiness in advance and all of that, but I'm trying to give you the game. So from there, you're gonna follow your red or your positive wire. Now, most people know, a lot of people know, your wire, the other end of the battery cable goes to the starter. You know what I mean? This is what provides a positive power to the starter for it to be able to crank. Now, this is not the end all be all, because it's more than just this. You also need what is it? Let me see. Yeah, you also need the power to get into the car. So this is basically you taking it right here. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Battery cable, boom. So you got that hooked to your starter. Know what I mean? Now, the other part is where it goes into the car. Now, this is where your key on power is going to come from. This is where your constant power is going to come on. I'm going to break that down to you. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got your pad. I'm finna like all the way. So, this harness here, as you can see, this is like the main harness, goes back into the car over here like that. And I apologize if this is not as clear as it usually is, because I'm using this Android tablet. You know, it's Team iPhone all day. And it's a little dark, so we'll do that. So now, pretty much, this right here is like a red. These wires one day was red. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of see, if you look like back up in the harness, like there are two red wires right there, right? Two red, one pinkish, but that's actually like a purple, right? So these two wires, which are joined into one connection right here, these join right here on your starter, right? You know what I'm saying? This joins right on your starter if you so choose. You know what I'm saying? Depending upon whatever's going to be the easiest way for you to do it, that's going to be how you want to do it. Now, probably for this setup, I'm gonna be honest with you. It really just depends on how I decide to run my wires, because if I have the truck battery cable, and like I said, our starter's gonna be over there, and it loops around to this side, and then you got the little battery box right there. Matter of fact, let me show y'all. Let me show y'all. It don't want to open. All right, so let me see if I can show y'all. So y'all see on this, oh shit, y'all can't see that. That's lighting is terrible. But anyway, y'all know that like this junction box, right? And your starter's on that side, and then this comes up right there and goes into that. That's the back of the alternator. Now on my C10, I have wires that are wired directly to the alternator. On this one, I have them wired into a junction box where they all come together. So there's no one way to do it. Once you understand, because the biggest thing, or the most important part, is that these wires need power. I mean, these wires need power because these wires trace. Oh shit! These wires run, as you can see, up to here. You know what I'm saying? Back into this harness, right? One of those wires comes off right here, and that's a constant hot wire right there. You know what I'm saying? I believe that goes into your, I want to say it goes into a plug on your distributor. Now, as you can see, also, this plug right here goes into your distributor, right? But this wire gets its power not directly from there. These wires have to go in here inside of the car to the fuse box, and then that wire comes back out, and it only has power when you turn the key on. But it all starts with the power outside of the car and making sure that you have those connections hooked up the way that they're supposed to be hooked up. So after you get that done, you know what I'm saying, that's all of the wires that you need to identify. We just identified them. This is your purple. This oh shit. This is your purple. The one with the little circle. That's your starter wire to activate the solenoid. It gets bolted on there. This is going to go onto the big bolt of your starter. If you decide to, run it like this or from the factory, you know what I'm saying? This is the constant power that goes to that on the starter. But the way that the starter gets that constant power is from this one right here, which all in all comes back and is hooked directly to the battery. And that's how you get your constant hot. Any questions? Any questions? And I will clarify if anything was misunderstood, and we'll take your questions now. But yeah, it's a real, like, once you think about it, like, or once you understand, it's like, oh shit, that just like, oh shit, that makes so much sense. This power, you know what I'm saying? And the reason that this wire is so thick or whatever is because it has to provide not the voltage but the amperage. Now, the difference between voltage and amperage is the flow. Think of amperage as the flow. So it has to have enough amperage, cold cranking amperage, to go through this cable, you know what I'm saying, and be able to turn that starter. You know what I'm saying? That's why this here is very important. Very important. You said you asked about it earlier today? No. We're not going that deep, Gene. We ain't going that deep tonight. Like, when you go, but see, I'll touch on it somewhat. So, from your harness, you want to fuse put a fuse connection for this, your key on, you know what I'm saying? You want to put a fuse for your constant power, and then this purple wire that activates the solenoid on the starter, you want to wire that in. You know what I'm saying? Now, depending on how you do that, it's totally up to you. You know what I'm saying? However you figure or you think that it'll look the best and it'll be the most presentable, or whatever your goals is. I mean, I don't give a fuck as long as my shit run. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the business of making shit run and having some fun. Put it on the shirt. You know what I'm saying? Make shit run and have some fun. Put it on a shirt. But yeah, the starter cable, can, like I was saying earlier. See, it's kind of hard. Let me grab a light right quick. There you go. So let me show you what I did to one. So basically what I did for my starter cable is I use the factory battery cable, right? See, so this is my cable that's going, like, it's starting at the battery, as you can see there. You know what I'm saying? It goes over here. On these LS engines, it's a junction block, and then that goes up to the starter. I mean, not starter, the alternator. I've been talking car parts all night at work. Y'all leave me alone. So if these, that's what charges, same as I was saying over there, that's what charges the battery. Now, as you can see, that cable goes down. And on the factory setup, it goes down, all the way down and around. And oh, you probably can't see it. But yeah, see down there, if you look down there in the very front of the motor, you can't see that shit. But basically it wraps around, and it's a constant wire. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much just a long ass version of that little short cable that I showed you over here. But it's just depending upon where you was. The reason that this one is so short is because the starter was on this side in this car. When I took that 307 out, it was the first time I'd ever seen it in my life. The starter was on the driver's side because I never flew in an Oldsmobile before. Now with these with the LS, because it's a Chevy block, it's on the starter on that side. So that's why I went ahead and I have procured another battery cable that I'll be using on the 60, and that cable will pretty much do the same thing. It'll wrap around the front of the block and go back to the starter. You know what I mean? Good info on my wires are cut at the firewall by previous owner. God damn it. Goddamn previous owners. Amperage is a measure of the current flow. I thought that's what I said. The current flow. What did I say? Didn't I say the flow? I could have swore I said the flow. I could have been wrong, but yeah, the flow. In driveway group, the starter wire was almost touching the header. I seen the post and I seen where Driveway said he ran it, pretty much like factory, and that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? I pretty much just used a factory wire and ran it like that in the Caprice. Same thing. Matter of fact, same thing in the C10. You probably can't see shit over there. I ain't gonna lie to you. Oh yeah. Yeah, you basically take the factory wires off of your donor vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Basically, which is basically this right here. This fuse block. Well, it's not a fuse block, but this bracket that holds, you know what I'm saying, this whole battery thing. And you take that long ass cable and you run it just like factory. You know what I mean? Just like factory. Okay, questions. Okay, yours had the 307 too. Yeah, yeah. So that's what you're gonna want to do, or I would suggest that you would do. because it's the easiest way. It's the easiest way to like make it like stock. I mean, matter of fact, let me grab my keys.
Garage door.
For the Chevy, by the Chevy. Dun 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 dun, dun like a rock. All right, now where I put that flashlight at? Cause I'm gonna need it to show you this cord. All right, y'all excuse my mess. All right, but check the got one right here, the one. So as you can see, this is the battery cable that goes to the positive. You know what I'm saying? That right there. Then, of course, it goes over to that same junction box. This is the wire. That's the wire that comes out and goes to your alternator right there. Then it comes down, baby. This right here, it bolts or it clips on right there in front of your oil, at the front of the engine and the oil pan, right? Then from there, the wire goes all the way around, and then that right there is what goes to your starter. That way you don't have to worry about it being in the way, I believe. But yeah, I grabbed another one because I knew I was gonna need it for this swap. I don't even know if I made a video on this cable yet, or I don't even know if I mentioned this cable in the video before. But now it's official. So this is pretty much the starter cable. This goes from the battery, you know what I'm saying, junction box to the starter, and that's what charges the battery. And then at this end, that's where your starter gonna go. Okay, next question. Y'all gotta excuse me, man. This damn tablet is big and bulky. What up, Cortez? I wish I saw this live first for sure. I know about the body harness. Confusing is the LS harness we get on though. Okay, hold on, let me see. So, depending upon what video you watch, like mine is still, ah, mine is still like a mess or whatever. Like I said, I gotta clean it up or whatever. But from my harness with my relays and stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? These these two wires right here. See, no, not that one. But anyway, there are two wires that's gonna come off of here that are going to go. One is gonna be your one provides the power, the constant power to this fuse block, and the other is for your key on. The key on, which is right here, see, I have it plugged off into there. The constant power from the block, I actually got it running into this junction box because there are other wires that come off the car. That harness that comes this right here, this junction box is what I use to connect all those that needed the constant power. There's probably another way that you can do it to make it all pretty and shit, but this was the first one and I was just trying to make it run. So a lot of these wires could probably be shortened up and all that shit, but I get to it. But from there, that's all you need. And for your starter wire, if you run your starter wire through the actual LS harness, then all you have to do is connect the purple wire that comes from the dash to the purple wire that is in the harness. Now, let me see if I can show y'all that. So, the purple wire that's in the harness is going to be... Okay, yeah, this was probably a better way to show y'all this shit. Let me see. Where's that fucking wire at? Okay. So it's probably the starter wire that runs through your harness is gonna probably be like the thickest wire that you have. And there it is right there. That right there, that's your purple starter wire that comes in your LS harness. Now, in order to run your starter wire through your harness, all you have to do is connect the purple wire from the car to this purple wire, and the other end, like I said, this shit is still a mess. I gotta clean it up. Yeah. So the other end of that purple wire is right here, and that is what goes on the solenoid. You know what I'm saying? See how it's similar to the small one that was on the Cutlass? So instead of using the one on the Cutlass, I cut that purple wire short. I wire it to this end, which is right there, and then I run this because these two wires right here, they run kind of the same path that they run pretty much the same path that that battery cable does. And this is your crank position sensor and crank position wire, crank position sensor plug, and this is your starter wire. And these are the ones that, that's why it's long like that, because it runs that length of the car. So I know it's a lot. That's why I said I just kind of wanted to tackle the basic of like what those initial wires, or identifying the wires from your vehicle, and knowing and understanding how they need to be wired. And after you identify them, you can pretty much run them whatever way that you want to do. So once that wire is hooked up to the starter over there, it's going to come around to the top junction box, and then that battery cable goes, bam, right to the positive. So now you have your positive to the battery like that. Now, if you notice, there was another wire that came off of on the factory harness. It's another one that goes off to the junction box for the fuse. Now, that wire is the one that I ran to the junction box there, and on the other side, I connected all the wires that needed to be connected for the constant power to go into the car. Once you get the constant power into the car, Your pink wire for your key on power will have the because it's through a fuse. Know what I'm saying? It comes back out and it's only triggered when you turn the key on. If that make is that making sense? I tell y'all I'm not no teacher, but I'm trying to help as much as I can. So y'all bear with me if y'all not catching on, or I'm not explaining it in the best way. I'm just trying to explain it the best way I know how. It's bud time. Bud time. What I gotta be purple. What up, purple gang? Yeah, and like Cortez is saying, you could just run a straight wire to it. I believe that's what Dewan did, but the way that Dewan ran it, having like like not I won't say a confusion, but he's worried about it being close to the header or whatnot. Yeah, like this damn thing. Like I don't like using a tablet. My phone my phone was almost dead, and I figured this would be the best way to show y'all. What's up, banger? I upgraded the wire size for what my 307 had and switched to how he's explaining to do it earlier today. Actually, I'm running my starter wire from my aftermarket factory fuse block, and that's another way. And that's what I was explaining to him, Cortez, is that as long as you understand what needs constant power and what needs like key on power, once you understand that, you can run it like any way that you want to. You know what I'm saying? As long as that starter has that constant power, you know what I'm saying, then you good. As long as you know what I'm saying, it's like I said, it's a million way. It's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? It's more than one way to skin a cat. I ain't even hear my damn phone go off. But yeah, man. I think that pretty much in a nutshell will wrap this up. I don't want to make it like a regular live where it's hours and shit long, and then people got to go back and sort through for the info. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't condone skinning cats. LOT One Swap has a whole layout for all LS. Yeah, and that's what I use. I use LT1swap.com. You know what I'm saying? They got a wonderful layout, instructions, all that shit. So use your resources. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's LT1 swap with me, whether it's other guys that's doing these swaps, Cortez. You know what I'm saying? The game is to be the game is to be told. You know what I'm saying? Not so. So the hustle don't stop. The grind don't stop. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, man. Bed and y'all who didn't watch this video or watching it after the fact that we went live, just jump down in the comments. Let me know any of your questions, and I'll address them the next time we go live, like in the garage and whatever like that. So I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of identify them wires and help guys out. So that's all I got. Night, fellas.